Cool, welcome back everyone, and hello to those who are new. I'm going to try to keep this much quicker than the first videos that I posted, but if you've watched my videos from yesterday, you would see that we smashed our target for yesterday, and we did hit the first target for the weekly, so the plan for the week is going ahead already. Prices currently starting to move down now. Maybe a bit of volume is coming into the market. I'm not sure, maybe my tab just updated, but yeah, on the weekly we've already hit the first target at that 39.97 39.96 area. Obviously now we'll be looking to reach the next target of the 39.40 area. Now, keeping into consideration where price is at now, even though it is the first target, my targets are always resistance points as well. And if you look mainly from the 4 hour to the 30 minute, if you look left of the chart, you can see there's a lot of resistance points for price whilst moving down. However, taking that into consideration right now, the sentiment is still bearish. We just now have to be more picky of where we want to enter our trades and what is a safe entry and what isn't. And we've got CPI coming up later on today during New York session, so you have to be a bit more wary. Keep eye on market structure, previous market structure, and keep an eye on how price is acting. So price action, you need to be more glued in than ever. The best thing to do really and truly is to maybe wait for CPI to release, see the fundamental sentiment for gold, and act upon what the chart shows you then after that, and what fundamentals have told us after. But if you are looking to maybe jump into a trade before CPI, be careful, be picky, and be smart. It's always best to wait for news to come out, but sometimes if your right criteria is ticked, enter on a smaller risk, and then hopefully when the news does come out, it does keep driving your position into the profits. But you know, proper analysis of fundamental aspects as well is important when it is news events coming on. Best not to trade though, I am putting it out there. So if we just go to the daily, at the daily, we, as I mentioned in my previous video, I did want to see a strong close on the lower time frames below that 39.97. Yesterday didn't close below that point, which isn't a good thing, but it's not a bad thing as well given the strength of that candle. So my pullbacks that I'm looking at that could potentially happen maybe with CPI, and then going into Wednesday, the downwards move will continue. I don't want to see today's daily candle breaking that 40.23 mark. Really and truly maximum pushing it, that 40.40 mark, to then set up new sell positions on Wednesday to lead out to Thursday and Friday. And then going down, it's pretty simple, I think. Going downwards, you know, my next target point, resistance points, is that 39.74 and the 39.27 if all is moving perfectly well. Now I'll drop down to the 4 hour. The 4 hour, I know there's a lot of lines here, it might be hard to see, but I've just marked out a lot of the resistances. And on a day like this, where there's a lot of resistance to the left, where price has previously struggled at, and there's news later on in the day, or there's news to be happening in the day, I tend to be a bit more conservative, lower my risk. If the opportunity is there to then increase the risk, I will do that, but my standard rule is I'm going to lower my risk, more picky with my entries, and I tend to just kind of play off my key levels. So here on the 4 hour, what you're looking at here is mainly my resistance areas and target areas. To be honest, the easiest trade I see, trade entry, will be below that 39.70. You will have an easier trade to keep going downwards. But right now, looking at the 4 hour, below that 39.90 mark, pushing down to break past those wicks around that 39.83. That's what I'll be looking at. So when I'm looking at my entry time frame, the 15-minute, I'll be looking how price is behaving on the 4 hour. Are we coming up to these points on the 4 hour, these wicks here from yesterday? Are we breaking below them? Are we breaking past the bodies? How did the London 4-hour candle closed, etc., etc. That's what I'll be using my higher time frame for today, is breaking these higher time frame resistances to further support my bias of smooth sells going down. And the same for the 1 hour. Really and truly, this is really a quick video on the 1 hour here. What the 1 hour did do for me differently than the 4 hour, it highlighted to me the 39.88 area. There's a price, if you look left on your own charts, you see price has struggled quite a lot when it's reached that point. We've had quite a bit of rejection. So when I'll be looking to enter, I'll be looking on my 1 hour chart where I have my 39.88 line. I'll be approaching that. I'll be breaking that if I am in a position from 39.90. Same goes for my 30 minutes, essentially just highlighting my target points, my resistance points, and areas that I want to keep in mind. Now on the 15 minute, getting a bit more into it. As you can see here, 39.90 is where I would prefer to get an entry in. You can see the current, what's the time? UK time, 1 o'clock. We've had a 15 minute kind of just blast through to 39.83 and it's currently rejecting. So this is just kind of like live in time supporting what I'm saying. Like this area, that is a rejection area. Price tends to struggle whether it's coming up to it or it's coming down to it. Every time it's come to this area, there's a lot of rejections, a lot of whipsaws. So you have to be careful. And with CPI at New York session, I would say entering the trade before CPI right now is going to be, you could put yourself in a little spot, you could not. You could set yourself up well for CPI to come through and keep your move pushing. But yeah, I'll be waiting for a close below 39.90, 39.88. I'll be looking for closes around that area. And then my second entry area would be the 39.83. The reason for that is it's a bit more smoother trying to move down in price. There's less rejection points that are tight. Like if I enter at the 39.90, 20 pips away, I've got a strong resistance point. But if I enter at the 39.83, my next resistance point is going to be around the 39.79. So there's a lot more room there. And then taking into consideration the key level 30 pips away, the 39.80, but I still have a bit extra 10 pip room on my trade instead of 10 pips less room on my trade. And that is pretty much it. I'll also say with CPI coming along, I personally wait for the first 5 minutes of CPI to finish. I don't enter when CPI is getting released or just before it gets released. That's setting yourself up for a risky move. But if CPI comes out and I see price dropping down, I'll be waiting for my close. Like my latest position entry is the 39.70. It is far away, I know, but my entry before that will be trying to catch a close on the 39.79. Sometimes when volume is really high, I do use the 1 minute. So I might get my closures on the 1 minute there. So if anyone's wondering, you entered a trade but you trade a 15 minute and a 5 minute, but you're saying you want to trade, that is why. If CPI does show me price is moving upwards, I will be comfortable to take a risky buy above 40.10. If I'm feeling even more riskier, I will take buys at 40.05. And I'll be riding my 40.05 position, cutting it out at 40.10, cutting it out again at 40.16. And same goes for 40.10. I enter at 40.10, I am going to be cutting out at 40.15, 40.16. And if we jump to the 4 hour picture, my target, I don't know if it's on there, if I am going to take a buy, will be that max pullback that I'm expecting on the 4 hour at 40.23. I don't really see price pushing up past there too much, max to 40.40, but that's a new vision that will be setting up for Wednesday and Thursday to take sales at a higher price. And take the move down. So essentially working along with that pullback. But that's kind of what I see for today. Once New York session does begin, I'll drop a new video on here and wherever else I decide to drop them. Hopefully this helps someone who is trading already, or maybe someone who is brand new and just wants to watch. Maybe they find it entertaining.